Hello and welcome back to part 3 of this 3-part demo for the install and configuration process for Rational Reporting for Development Intelligence, or RRDI as it's commonly known. This is version 2 of RRDI, which is shipping with the CLM 4.0 products. RRDI, as you know, is a reporting component that provides Cognos and advanced reporting capabilities for the various CLM products. Now in part 1 we installed it, created some databases for the content store that we needed, installed RDI. In part 2 we ran the new setup application to actually configure RDI and make it runnable. And now in the demo for part 3 we'll show the results of what happened, or the results of part 2 in terms of what you'll get in Cognos, and then we'll extract and load the CLM reports. So you'll see how to get that and load them in, so you'll have the out-of-the-box reports, and then run them. So you'll actually see reports running. So on to the demo. Hi, so I want to start this part 3 demo by showing that we did indeed produce a running RRDI report server at the end of part 2. So I've already connected to the system that we've installed and configured all the software on. So let me bring up a browser here, and I'll go to the Cognos connection. And I have to log in. And I have to allow communication. And you can see that we have the Rational Reporting screen in Cognos. It's up and running, but there's no reports. So first step to do now is to download some of the reports that we'll need from the CLM products that are also installed here. So to do that, I'm going to open a new tab in my browser, and I'm going to go to CCM Administration because we'll use that one. Doesn't really matter. So now, under the RTC administration on my Jazz server, and go to Reports and Downloads. Okay, so I need to download the archive files for Rational Reporting. So I know it's a zip file, so I can open it with WinZip. Alternatively, I could have just saved the file to some directory and then extracted it from there, but I'm just going to open it directly in WinZip. And where I have to put it is in this Cognos deployment folder. You can see there's nothing there. This is where Cognos will indeed look for the file when we go to load the report. So I'll open it with WinZip. Okay, and we want the Rational Reporting install, so select that and extract. And we need to extract it to Program Files, IBM, RDI, Cognos, Deployment. And I want to extract these selected files. Okay, now I actually ended up one level too deep in the directory, but if I open this folder, you see I have the change and configuration management reports, requirements manager, and the data model. So you can see there's also 2 data models here, and I don't need the no security one because we do want security or authorization and access control in the report access. So I'm just going to delete that one, and then take the other 3 and cut, and then go back up one level in the hierarchy and paste them there because that's where they need to be. And then I can delete that. So now that I've got the 3 Cognos archive files in the right place, the next step is to load them. So I'll run setup, and this is the same setup we had been using in part 2. Okay, I'm going to log in, and this has to be that setup admin account that we had created. Okay, and here's the same scenario selection. Now, so you'll see at the bottom there's this common tasks section, which is where we put some screens that you really want to do as a one-shot. So I'm going to load the Cognos archives by clicking on that. Okay, so here is a screen that will load into Cognos, the archives we just set up. So, okay, the reporting server URL is already populated for us. The namespace is always Jazz, and it's case sensitive, so you need to have a capital J. Username is how I would log into CLM. The password. And I can click on the Get Available Archives. So this will now connect to Cognos and find the archives that are available to be loaded. And as you can see, these are the 3 we had set up. And might as well load all of them, so I'll just put the check marks in. So you say load all 3 of them and click Load Selected Archives. Okay, so the archive loading succeeded. So I can go next and see, here's the summary. And we're all set. So we're done with setup. Click Finish. And nothing much else to do with that. So now if I go back to this public folders page and refresh it, here are the content that we just loaded. On the data models folder, you see the data model for the warehouse, and this is what your report authoring would be based of. Under sample report definitions, which is where your reports live, and go in there and you see I've loaded the CCM and RM reports. CCM data warehouse reports are the ones we want to look at, and here we are. These are the reports that ship with RTC. So the report I want to show from the CCM or RTC collection is this Scrum user stories done. So if I click on that to run it, okay, so now we need to prompt for a project area, and I'll take the JKE Banking Change Management. This is the money that matters data that ships with CLM, where this reporting is working off of. Okay, so for team area, I'm just going to select all, and the same with the iterations, because I'm not sure exactly what's in the data, but I want to get a nice report, so we'll just pick everything and click Finish and let the report run. Okay, so here is the report, and you can see basically lists of user stories with some little charts in there. And it's just fairly long. If we scroll all the way down, see right down here by the taskbar, there's a page down, so it's a multi-page report, so we can go to the next page. Okay, so I'll go back and show you one RM report before we wrap up. So I'll go back to the sample report definitions, click RM, and data warehouse reports, and this coverage of requirements by development items. We'll run that one. Okay, the project, again, we'll pick JKE Banking. I can choose if I want types of requirements here, but I'm just going to leave this as all types and click Finish to run the report. And you can see it's a slightly different style report for this one. We've got the pie chart and same information in a bar chart format. Again, we can drill through from this pie chart. Like say we want to find out what are these that are not covered. So we can click there and you see a new tab opens, and here we get a list of the development items that constitute that area of the chart. And close that. Go back here. So that concludes part 3 of the demo. As a summary of everything that we've done during the 3 parts of the video, I'd like to show one thing in the new Info Center. So if I bring up a browser pointed to the Info Center for CLM and RDI, in the installing section here, there is a section for installing CLM and installing RRDI. So if I open this up, then there's this installation roadmap, which is very useful and really illustrates what we had gone through in the videos. So you can see it starts off with some backup and all we didn't do, but one of the first steps is to create the content store database that we did in part 1. Create the user account. We used it, that's the RPT user account that we set up with the data for access with the data warehouse. We didn't create it in Windows, but we did use it. Moving on to the install phase, we used the Launchpad and the installation manager to install RDI. And then moving on into part 2 of the video, we initialize the setup wizard, which is starting the JTS that served it, and then running the server.config batch file to register it and get the setup going. Started the setup wizard in a browser and went through the whole deployment, configuration and deployment phase. Verify deployment, I would say we actually did at the beginning of part 3, where I showed Cognos was up and running, but there were no reports loaded into it. So then post-install, we obtained and loaded the archives from CLM. We went to the CCM product and got that, and loaded them using the Load Archives page in the setup application. Then we verified all the integration by running a couple of reports. So it's a nice process. It's laid out for you here. There's a lot of other detail in the info center here that I'd urge you to read through. That concludes the demo, and take a look at the info center. It's very useful. So thank you very much, and I hope you got something useful from these videos.